I want you to meet Amber McDonald. She's an elementary school teacher. She says she is undecided right now.
Hi, Amber.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
As an educator for 14 years, I have seen a change in our children. I'm very passionate about what I do, and so it makes my job difficult when those children come in having other concerns. They're concerned about their parents who fought before they came. They're concerned that they didn't have food to eat breakfast. And all of that comes into what we do every single day. How can you help us to make that easier, to where we can maybe educate the parents to where those things are easier for them? Then it helps our children to have an easier day, not as stressful.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question. I have 3 educators in my family, elementary school, and I hear the exact same thing, because ultimately our schools are inheriting whatever society sends them in the morning. And I touched on that briefly a moment ago. If a child is being raised in a broken home, living in substandard housing, no access to health care, and facing these other challenges you've talked about, this child faces significant obstacles and they need to be addressed. The question is, what can government do about it? Because ultimately, there's no law I can pass to make people better parents. And no matter how hard you try and how much you want to help, there's only so much you can do about that as well. I do think we need to empower parents. It's one of the reasons why my tax plan that I've proposed increases the per-child tax credit. And I've been criticized for that by, for example, the Wall Street Journal and others. They don't like the per-child tax credit. But I don't understand, why do we live in a country where if a business invests money in a piece of equipment, they get to write it off their taxes? But if a working parent invests more money in their children, they don't get to write that off their taxes. This is their money. What I'm arguing is that working parents should be allowed to keep more of their own money so that they have the resources that it takes to raise their children. It's expensive to raise children in the 21st century. My tax plan recognizes that. But ultimately, I think your question goes to the core of something we need to remind ourselves. There is not a federal government solution to every problem in our country. That does not mean that our leaders should not spend the time to tell people that what happens in our house, what happens in your house, is oftentimes much more important than what happens in the White House. The most important job I will ever have will not be President of the United States. It will be to be a father of my 4 children. And I think that's important for us as a society to continue to understand that you cannot have a strong country without strong people. You cannot have strong people without strong values. And you cannot have strong values without strong families. No one is born with strong values. They have to be instilled in you in a strong home. And while government cannot make families stronger, it most certainly can do things to help families, like allowing them to keep more of their hard-earned money, and most importantly, not having any laws, whether it's in our safety net program or our tax code, that discourages marriage or undermines parenting.